Welcome back to another episode of Wrestling Conversations. I'm super excited about the interview this week. Today joining me we have Scotty Riggs. So in this interview we talk about a bunch of different topics, including Scotty's time in Memphis, how he got into WCW, traveling with Lex Luger and Sting, teaming with Marcus Bagwell and the American Males. We talk about Scotty's time in ECW and wrestling Rob Van Dam. So this is a great interview. I want to make a note too before we start with that. Scotty had some internet connection problems kind of throughout the interview here or there. It's pretty minor. I cleaned it up the best that I could, but there's a couple times where he cuts out slightly, but I think you're able to hear every important detail in the interview, so please give this conversation a listen. Welcome back, everybody, to a very special edition of Wrestling Conversations. Joining us today is Scotty Riggs. Scotty, how are you?
I'm doing good, Matthew. How are you, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. It's an honor to get to chat with you for a bit, so thank you for taking the time.
Oh, it's going to be a blast, man. It's always fun to get together and either recall a few memories if you bring them up or, just have some fun chatting about what today's wrestling is. It's always a good time.
All right. Appreciate it. I always start probably the wrong way for a wrestling podcast too, because I know you are a big Cowboys fan yourself.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. I'm a Vikings fan, and
just a little bit. Got a little ink there.
There you go. I can see it. There we go.
Yeah, I just got that. My birthday's March 1st, and it came a little bigger than I thought. But a guy did that for me for my birthday, and I was like, going okay. And so they better win me a Super Bowl this year or sometime soon for this ink.
Right, and they're having a pretty good year so far.
Pretty good, yeah. I mean, they're 8-3. We've been stomping the guys supposed to stomp, but we haven't got the wins over the big names yet. So hopefully we'll get that in the next couple of weeks.
Kind of tough being in the same division as Philly. That's kind of a tall task.
Well, Philly's only been good for the past couple of years. They haven't been like dominant forever like the Cowboys have.
Yes, yeah, that's true. I'll give you credit. I'm a Vikings fan myself, and it's been kind of an up and down year so far for us.
Goal for you. Goal.
Yeah. It's. I mean, we've had some injuries and we've had a lot of setbacks, but I'm hoping they still have a chance once Jefferson gets back in the lineup. We'll see. It's been kind of an up and down year, man.
Well, again, you never know how the NFC will play out.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, I want to kind of get into some things for wrestling. So I want to do a little bit of some old school stuff, talking about your career. At the end, I want to at least talk about a little bit of current stuff if you've got the time. But I want to start with, I've listened to some other interviews that you've done too. I wanted to start with some of your time in Memphis. I feel like that's a time that I've heard you talk about a little bit. A lot of mixed reviews from other wrestlers back then that were working in Memphis. From what I've heard, good place to get some experience.
Really?
Maybe the pay wasn't always maybe the greatest, but what was it kind of your experience? How did you get started in Memphis?
I mean, it's kind of a roundabout story. I was actually at center stage at a Saturday Night TV taping, and of all people, Arn Anderson walks up to me, and I just saw him this past weekend actually in at WrestleCade. Mm-hmm. And we chatted about it. First time I've seen Arn in 10, 15 years. But he had pulled me aside at center stage that day and said, "Kid, you got a good look, you got a great attitude, you got some ability. You need to get out of here and get some experience, get some exposure, get some things going so you can really learn your craft. Because you're going to get stuck under a ceiling here if you stick around here much longer." Mm-hmm. And I was like going, man, I was getting, $200 a week doing TVs. I was actually working a few house shows here and there as a young guy, blah, blah, blah. They got me, they're booking us and stuff. Not a lot, but just enough, earn some extra bucks with those guys. And was actually traveling with Jake the Snake Roberts at the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a combination in it. Arn Anderson, Jake the Snake that I'm traveling with. And we went to do a Thanksgiving show in Cordele, Georgia for Ben Masters, Peace State Wrestling. And Jerry Lawler was there. And out of no way, no prompting or anything, Jake tells Jerry to start watching my match. So Jerry watches it. And we come back after that. It was actually wrestling Gorgeous George, Rob Kellum. Mm-hmm. And so we worked each other. So we had a good match. We had no idea Jerry was watching the match. And Lawler comes up to me and goes, "Hey, Scotty, would you want to maybe come to Memphis and wrestle a little bit?" I said, "Yeah." And Arn Anderson starts playing to my mind, "Get out of here." And there's this out of the blue type mentality, this thing happens. And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, it's like this. I can't offer you a lot of money. It'll be $40 a day, but you'll get experience and exposure. You'll wrestle 6, 7 times a week, twice on Saturday with TV in the morning, and then go to Nashville that night." And I didn't have anything tie me down. So I was like, yeah. He goes, "Well, we'll call you first of the year and give you a starting date." So, okay. And it was actually on January 1st. I was over at Glacier's house, Ray Lloyd. We were watching some games, and my phone rings, and it's Randy Hale, who's the booker. Says, "Scotty, we got your starting date. It's going to be January 4th, no, January 14th. Be here at the station, Channel 5. For TV, and we'll get you going that night, and we'll get things running for you." And pretty much drove up there, stayed at the Admiral Bimbo. So other boys stayed, but I stayed at the wrong one. There's 2 of them in Memphis. I didn't know there's one, I think, in north, one in south. And I stayed at the wrong one. None of the boys was there. I was looking around, that type of thing. Went to the station the next day and saw Tommy Rich and Doug Gilbert, a couple guys I knew from the Independence of Georgia, and started rolling, and was there for 8 months, man.
That's a pretty long stretch.
That's a long run. That's a long run for somebody who really wasn't, known or a star or anything like that. And I got over with the fans, was doing good and having a blast. And to me, the coolest thing about Memphis was you were being a wrestler. I mean, you lived the life. You were hotels every night, working out every day, wrestling every day. You did Memphis on Mondays, Louisville on Tuesdays, Enfield, Indiana on Wednesdays, Thursday, Fridays were spot towns, and we had Memphis TV that Saturday morning and Nashville that Saturday night. And then I was living the life that I wanted. I wanted to be a pro wrestler, and I was living that life. It was a blast. So it was rough, but it was a blast.
Even you had a blast, even with making that amount of money per day. But you think at that point it was just worth that to live that life and to have that exposure?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I looked at it like this: it was $20 for a hotel, $10 for gas, and $10 for food. And we sold gimmick pictures and stuff like that. And the crazy thing, when I went there, we took some pictures and stuff like that beforehand. So I made some friends that made some pictures. We knew about gimmick pictures and stuff. So I took them up there, and these 2 ladies just came up and said, "Hey, we know you're the new guy. We'll sell your pictures for you. How much are they?" Da, 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 da. And they were like, "We'll help you out." And they really pushed my pictures. So that night, I think my first couple of nights there, I made like an extra $40-$50. So I was able to eat at Waffle House that night, So when you did get on gimmicks, you're able to eat a little bit, stuff like that. So I kind of learned the tricks of the trade as time went on there, and just it made it easier. And then also with that $40 you made, if the house was up and stuff like that, and if you were maybe first, second, third match, your pay went up a few extra bucks. So you got a paycheck every 2 weeks too. Okay. And it definitely was I think I put like 60,000 miles on my Blazer I had, and made less than $6,000.
Oh wow!
In 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah. But got a lot of experience and exposure, man. There was not a lot of money, but man, I wrestled like I was listening to Tommy Rich, Primetime Brian Lee, Brian Christopher. I was traveling with him, just having a blast working these guys, and it gave me a lot of chance to learn how to call a match, learn how to get a feel for the crowd, and just because every week you're wrestling in the same town, it's 4 times a week, so you had to be creative with what you're doing, so it won't look the same. Sure. So that really challenged me. And I was only, 2.5 years in the business when I went there, maybe 3 years tops. So it was really, really a challenge, but it was fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, and like I think for like today's wrestling standards, right? You have guys that are doing like indies or smaller promotions, and they get go to AEW, WWE, and they've been in the business for 10, 15 years, stuff like that. Like so for you, that initial stint in WCW, you go to Memphis, you have some other independence as well. How does that lead you back into WCW full time?
That is probably one of the craziest stories you may ever hear. There was a guy, Kemper Rogers, was a production guy, and he was trying to create a portfolio away from wrestling where he was trying to do videos and stuff like that. And he gave me a call and said, "Hey, man, I want to put you and Mark Bagwell in a music video. Could you get some time to come here?" He knew I was in Memphis wrestling and that type of thing. He was a good guy. And he just thought me and Marcus had a look, and he just wanted to put us in a video together. And it was a video for an Aha song. I can't remember the name of the song, but offhand, but it ended up actually, when he put it together and everything, it played on MTV's Buzz Clips. And if anybody knows that MTV from those decades, they played music videos, not the stuff they have now. So people are going, they played music videos? Whoever listens to this podcast is going to go, MTV did what? But yeah, 20, 30 years ago, they played music videos on the thing. But the way I kind of got started, we got back into WCW was Kemper was doing the editing and production of the video at the CNN Center using their equipment and stuff. And Jimmy Hart just happened to walk in and saw me and Marcus there. And the Patriot had just split. He was leaving the company.
Sure.
And they put Marcus, I think, with Alex Wright, trying to do a tag team with him. And they weren't clicking. And Jimmy Hart saw it, and he started thinking the Fabulous Ones, Steve Kerr and Stan Lane, the Fantastics, Rock and Roll Express, these two young guys. And the next thing I know, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. At the Days Inn, my phone rings in the room. Phone never rings in the room, So I answer it, and it's Janie Engel from WCW. She's like the head secretary. She's like, "Scotty, how you doing?" I'm like, "Jenny, how are you?" And she goes, "Well, we got a couple ideas that we might bring you in as Bagwell's tag team partner." I'm like, "Do what?" I was like, "Where's this coming from?" She's like, "Well, we saw this, we saw that. Jimmy Hart saw this." Ideas started rolling, and for the next 3 weeks, I kept getting a phone call every Tuesday. Actually, it was every Wednesday morning. I'm sorry, but every Wednesday, going, we got an idea here. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, talk to you next week. Okay, got an idea here. Blah, blah. And it kept going, and then finally, about the third, fourth week, Kevin Sullivan's on the line. Jenny goes, "Kevin Sullivan wants to talk to you." I said, "Okay." And Kevin goes, "Scotty, my boy, how are you?" I'm going, "Okay, Kev." He goes, "We want to bring you in. It'll be the first week of August, I think it was. Maybe the second week of August. We're going to do TV tapings in Orlando. We're going to fly you in, this, that, and the other." And the next thing you know, it just started rolling. And Marcus, I got into Atlanta on like a Thursday night. That Friday, me and Marcus hooked up, put together some outfits to just try to look good as best we could to, throw something together. And it just started right there. It was just a bang, bang, boom. Our first match was against Bobby Eaton and Steve Regal, the Blue Bloods. And they made me look like a 10-year veteran, savvy as all get out. It was our tryout match, basically. And we didn't know it. I don't think they really knew it either, but they just made me look like I knew what I was doing. I had a clue, I had some experience, and I was ready for it. And right after that match, it was Kevin pulled me aside, Jimmy pulled aside, and they were throwing more ideas at us and stuff like that. Kevin gave me a little guaranteed pay and stuff for the next 90 days and kept going with that. And that was my way in. It was a music video that had nothing to do with wrestling, that put me and Marcus together. Jimmy Hart saw it, and his mind went old school wrestling tag team, and boom, there we were, the American Males.
Was that tryout match that you guys had, was that the Mall of America match, like a dark match?
No, Mall of America was actually Buckhouse Buck and Dick Slater.
Okay.
And so we worked there. And that was a 25-minute match that was just, we had a blast with those guys. But it was just a time film match to entertain the crowd there. I think somebody else had a match also, singles. Might have been Alex or something, I can't remember. But the Blue Bloods was in Orlando. It was the first match we did together as a tag team.
Sure, sure. Who pitched you guys the ideas of what the American males would be, right? Because that's definitely kind of like a, I don't know if it's an '80s tag team, but you're at this point you're '95. But there's lots of teams from the past where I feel like you guys pulled some things from, but had your own spin on it too. Who pitched that idea to you guys?
Um, I'm trying to think. Jimmy had saw a magazine, I think it was called International Males, and it was kind of a just real. Trying to think of the right way to put it. It was a fashion magazine for guys, but had more of a gay tint to it, type thing.
Sure.
And it was real effeminate fashion stuff. But he saw the title of it, but he couldn't do international because that was a trademark thing. So he just went American Males, and it just kind of stuck. It was Jimmy's idea, but all the outfits, the suspenders, the Z Caparici pants we put together, the couple other outfits were all our ideas that we kind of came up with, collaborated together. Marcus had some great ideas because he was a fashion guy in a sense. I was just blue jeans and a t-shirt dude. But he had a much better idea for that type thing. And we put it together, and then, like I said, the suspenders, the whole 9 yards really came across well. We had chokers, we had earrings, we had all this stuff. It was like we get in the ring, we do our entrance, and all of a sudden we're taking all this stuff off. And Nick Patrick or the other, and one of the referees go over there going, guys, they're telling me for you to hurry up. we're trying to get off as quick as possible. Stuff. So, yeah, way too much stuff. But that was part of it. Back then, everybody wore too much stuff at the start of everything. So it was, we fit right in.
Right. I mean, that's what people tune in. They don't want to turn on the screen and always see somebody that looks maybe like they do, right? So it's like it's got to be the over the top stuff. It's always gonna have a place in wrestling. That's for sure.
Yeah, over the top for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. I know that some people hate the song. I personally do like the song because I feel like once you hear that song, you know exactly who it is, who's coming down. What was your initial reaction to hearing the American Males theme song from the beginning?
We were getting ready to do our match with the Blue Bloods, and we hadn't even heard anything yet ourselves. Jimmy walks in with a little CD player, a little boom box. He goes, "Here's your music, baby. Here's your music." And it starts off with that, meow, meow. And Jimmy's sitting there doing this number with us. And me and Marcus is going, "It's pretty good. It's pretty good." And then I was in here, American Males. And me and Marcus, I swear to God, we both, our eyes wide open, looked at each other like, no way. And Jimmy's going, "You hear it, baby? It's got some Devo to it, baby." And he starts going into it. And then you hear, "When you see him coming, better run." I hear that little deep voice to it. And we just kind of went, okay. It started kind of kicking a little bit. But it was definitely one of those tunes that almost 30 years later, when you hear it now, you know it sticks in your head. Mm-hmm. You can't get rid of it. And nobody, I don't think, ever had an idea that tune itself would last. And it's everyone I hear about now, like you said, they either hate it, they love it, but it sticks with you.
Yeah,
it's a cool tune to me.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that it's like I feel like there's no middle ground for people. They either love it or they hate it. And
it's like the Dallas Cowboys, like you were saying. You either love them or you hate them. There's no middle ground with the Dallas Cowboys. It's the same thing with that American Males tune because it stays in your mind. You can't get it out. And that's why people either go with it and go, yeah, or they go, ah, and scream when that song is in your head. But, it was cheesy. It's all get out. But, I mean, the American Males are cheesy. If you ever remember when Marcus would do the forearm bump?
Yes.
We were going, it ain't easy being this cheesy, baby. Let's just do it, though. Mm-hmm. And we were cheesy as all get out, and it got over.
Yeah,
we got cheesy over. So it was classic.
I think I'm 26 now, so I'm born in '97, so I missed a lot of this stuff growing up. So I've gone back and watched a ton of.
Dude, I'm cracking up. I mean, I'm twice your age. Yeah, I'm twice your age, dude.
I know. I missed a lot of good stuff, but I feel like I've went back to watch a lot of things, and you probably get this a lot from fans and probably other wrestlers too. That when I first saw you for the very first time, the thing that stuck out to me was definitely the drop kick. Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, that was one of the things I really Brad Armstrong, believe it or not, a lot of credit goes to him because another little story that kind of got me started in WCW. I started working out at Main Event Fitness in Atlanta when I moved to Atlanta, and that's where all the wrestlers worked out. Sting and Lex, owned the gym and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I started talking to DDP one day, and he knew I was a worker, a youngster type thing. So he was wanting to help me out a little bit. And he was like, let's go down to the power plant. It's like an hour away. It's from the south side of Atlanta. We were on the north side. I said, dude, I got a friend of mine's got a ring in the back of his karate school. And I said, it's 10 minutes away from here. So I took him over there, let him see it. He was like, okay, we can use this. Next thing you know, the next day, Jake the Snake Roberts, Steve Regal, and Brad Armstrong was with them. We go back there, we start working some stuff together. And Brad pulls me aside and is like, starts working with me because he sees I got some spring to me. So he starts working with me a drop kick. And just Brad taught me how the timing of it, the smoothness of it and everything. And so I just had natural leaping ability. I had spring in my step. But Brad taught me all the timing, all the smoothness of it and when to look for it. And then he taught me some psychology with it, when to throw it, when to miss it. Certain times in the match to use it. But if it weren't for him, I probably would still have a good one, but it'd probably be a little sloppy. I don't know, but I give a lot of credit to Brad.
Sure.
So he just taught me a lot. When you get somebody that invests in you a little bit, it's cool. It helps.
How common was it back in WCW at, kind of towards that time where you would have people that would, kind of help you out along the way when you were kind of the new guy, maybe just coming in?
It was rare to find guys who are in the wrestling business. Unfortunately, you have givers and takers, and I was blessed to have a few guys that did see something in me. See, like, here's a youngster. He doesn't have an attitude problem. He's a pretty cool dude. And I think that helped out, that I really wasn't obnoxious or a jerk, even though it was with Bagwell. Bagwell was a heat-seeking missile. And I kind of got some heat by being with him. So it was one of those things, but it was, just they saw me again as just a youngster who wanted to learn. I was having a blast. Arn Anderson always told me it was like anytime he saw, like either him and Pillman or maybe it was him and Benoit or Flair working as a match somewhere along the way. He was like, we knew we had a night off with you guys because you guys could work. You guys were good. You were the hungry guy who wanted to keep learning, and that kind of made Marcus sharpen his stuff a little bit. So me and Marcus built off each other a lot. Again, I caught some of the heat just by being his partner, but just guys at certain times are just really work with you. It's like our first match, it was Fall Brawl '95. We worked the main event show with the Nasty Boys, and we started the match off, and Jerry Sags locks me up, throws me in the corner, starts hitting me 22 unanswered punches and kicks, live rounds. I'm going bam, 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 bam. What the heck is going on? He's boom, boom, boom. I'm a youngster who had no clue. And all I hear is him yelling, I'm welcoming him to the company. And I was like, yes, my head was throbbing already. But he told me afterwards, he goes, yeah, a couple of the guys, Arn and Kevin Sullivan and Ric Flair, buzzed me and said, light up the kid and see what he's got. And it was a little test to see what would happen. And the fact that I took it and kept going and just acted like it didn't faze me, Jerry said, went up to him afterwards and told him, the kid's good. He's good in my book. He took it like a man and kept going. And so that was my way of welcoming me to the company. But it was also a way of testing me a little bit, which was kind of cool to know that the older guys wanted to see what the youngster had. I could take some shots and keep going in the match and not like lose my cool or anything. But I did catch him later with a drop kick right in the mouth. That was the one thing I could do. I could either put a drop kick in your chest or I could put it in your mouth. And I did catch him right in the mouth with it. And we really didn't talk about it, but I knew it when I hit him. But he didn't go, hey, man, what's that drop kick for? I knew what it was for, but he just, I was like, yay, got right in the mush. Glory speed. It was good though.
And back at that time, and I've heard you talk about this kind of some over other interviews that you've done. You traveled quite a bit with Lex and Sting. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you get linked up with those two guys?
Marcus of all times. The way it works is it's really goofy. That first Nitro, nobody knew Lex was there, and he was the big surprise guy that came through. So they had Lex and Sting going to the gym together. When Lex was up in WWF, Marcus and Sting became friends. They were trained together, traveled together. So, and then all of a sudden I come in. So you got me and Mark, Sting, and all of a sudden Lex comes up. So there's already a threesome in a sense of Sting, Marcus, and Lex will be traveling together. I'm the greenhorn rookie who, because of tagging with Marcus, all of a sudden I'm traveling with two of the top names in business, Sting and Lex. I'm driving everywhere. I'm the guy, boom, boom, in directions, all nine yards. And so that was my way of just becoming friends with them. And it took a little bit of time, but again, the heat or the goodness of Marcus, you take your balance with him being his partner and everything. And that was one of the perks of being a friend of Mark, being his tag team partner and his friend, was I got to be buddies with Sting and Lex. And we started playing golf together. We worked out together. We ate together. We stayed in hotels and stuff. And just was blessed to develop a friendship and travel with those guys. It was great. I didn't expect it. I mean, I told Sting a funny joke about and it was like 1990 when I was playing college football. We had gone to the Omni to watch the matches. A couple of us rode over there. And I'd actually gotten Sting's autograph that night.
Oh, nice.
And here I am only a few years later riding down the road with him. And I told him, I said, dude, you want to hear a funny one? I said, I got your autograph a few years ago. And he started laughing. He goes, I would not have told me that story. No, I got ammo. He really didn't use it against me, but he could have. He could have pulled it out at some point and nailed me with it. But it was just one of those weird things in life where, here I am, all of a sudden I'm a total greenhorn. I'm with the two of the top and the biggest names in the business at the time.
Yeah, I think something that stood out to me from when I listened to a couple other interviews that you did, you shared a story. So I already know this one, but if you're okay with sharing it, I would like you to share it here just so anyone listening to this can see this or to listen to this too. So it was when I think it was you and Marcus were staying at a cheap hotel. Lex came in, saw where you guys were staying, and said, "You're not staying somewhere like this again." And then there was the condo that came after that.
Yeah, that was one of those times where it was the Orlando TV tapings, and at one of it was a Days Inn, I think it was, and it was like $25 a night for a room. So it was basically $12.50 each is the deal they gave the wrestlers there. And Lex came to pick us up, take us to the gym. He walks in the door and he looks around and goes, I'm not coming to this hotel again, pick you guys up. And you guys are not staying here anymore. So the very next trip we stayed there that time. The next month we went down there, I think it's every 3 months. He got a 3-bedroom condo on the golf course. Sting stayed at the Marriott itself. Lex got a 3-bedroom condo, and he took care of it all because he goes, I'm not going to be seen at this place. You guys are traveling with us. You're not going to be seen at this place either. So the next thing you know, we're staying. It's Lex being Lex, and we just said, okay, we're all along for the ride. And I was always a driver, so that was my thing. But it was one of those deals where the funny thing about Lex is he was a giver, but he came across so smug. And it was just him being him. But you step back and went, wow, is he doing this out of niceness? Or is he doing this because he doesn't want to be seen there?
Right.
Yeah, that was the thing. He could be either way with him. But I think he liked us. The first time I ate dinner with those guys, they ate fast, big bites, da, 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 da. And I was a slow eater. And Lex was like, this kid, he can't make it with us. He ain't gonna last. And he's too slow, da, 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 and he is just pounding me. I'm going, what I do? And Marcus is going like this, and with Johnny B. Bad here, Alex Wright, and they're all eating fast too. And I'm just sitting back going, listen, I've already burned my bridges. I didn't know what was going on. And about maybe 20 minutes later, Sting pulls me aside and goes, "Kid, you're good." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Lex with me. If Lex didn't like you, he wouldn't pick on you. He's picking on you. He likes you. You're okay. You're good. Don't worry. Don't worry. Just drive. You'll be fine." So, but when Sting pulled me aside and said, "Don't worry, you're okay," I was like, it's one of those things.
Feeling good after that.
Yeah, for real. I was like, if Lex booted me out of the group, when we're going to ride, when we're going to travel, it's going to be lost. But it was just him ripping me, pounding me. It was funny.
And Lex is one of those guys too, where I've never met Lex. So I've never had a good or bad experience too of what he was like then versus what he's like now. Do you keep up with Lex at all at this point in time?
Yeah, actually, we text a lot, and I'm in Atlanta right now, and he's just down the road. I just saw him at Russell Cage this past weekend. Where
Sure.
He was in Buffalo for a while, up there with his family and stuff like that. After he had that stroke, that he had that paralyzed his body a little bit.
Yeah.
But we always would. There's a couple guys. I was very blessed to Alex Wright is the guy I keep in contact with. Even though he's in Germany. RVD, Bagwell, Steve Corino, Sting, and Lex. There's 6 or 7 guys that I keep in contact with on a regular basis. And all throughout the years, we've always kept in contact with a text message here, a phone call there every couple months, just to make sure we're all okay and stuff like that. And again, just on Lex, and he's like, "Man, we got to get together and do some lunch." So I think next week or the week after, we'll sit down and have some lunch together, just catch up and everything else. So it's going to be cool. But again, just very blessed with some of these guys that have been able to maintain their friendship.
Definitely. And you mentioned that
Lex is one of them.
And you mentioned that you see Marcus, quite a bit. He's done a lot of work in the last couple of years to, make some changes, and that's been, very public stuff. How are things going for Marcus?
He's doing really, really good. We got some things in the works for as doing the American Males to do as conventions and stuff like that.
Sure.
So it's going to be really cool to do because we haven't really done a whole lot of stuff together. He's always been buff, or I've done like Scotty Riggs with the American, or just myself, or like the flock version of me with the eye patch and stuff. But this is the first time we've got some things coming up next year. We might even do, I think, WrestleMania weekend as the American Males up in Philadelphia. We got some things in the works, which would be really cool. But he's doing really, really good. There's been a few things out there that says he's messed up, he's done this, but he's actually 15 months sober.
That's awesome.
And just doing really, really well. So whatever's, there's some things that happen along the way but it has nothing to do with losing his sobriety. He's grabbed onto it. He loves being sober. He's happy, he's content, and everything else. So he's doing really good. It's been good to be back around him for a while, and just catching up and working out together. He helped me with my diet. I've helped him just with his encouraging with his sobriety, and it's been a shoulder for him. He's been a guy that likes for me to get back in the gym, get back in shape again. So it's just, again, good to have a friend. We were cheesy back then. We're going to be cheesy now at 50, in our 50s. So it's good.
That's awesome. So when you and Marcus split, at that point, I'm not sure whose call that was. Do you feel like the American Males at that point ran its course, or do you feel like there was a lot left for you guys to do at that point?
I don't know. I mean, there could have been a few more things that were going on because there were a few more teams that had come into WCW at the time, but we kind of got a little lost in the shuffle of what was going on. So like Steiners were there, the Road Warriors, all those guys. But I know like Marcus had always been a part of a tag team for the longest time. And we kind of were doing the thing where we kept screwing up matches and somebody costing a win, somebody losing, by being klutzes or things that are happening. They were trying to tell a bit of a story of who is going to be the bad guy, who's going to turn, who's going to do what. And we were trying to make it so nobody knew. And that's when all of a sudden the NWO stuff started with Hall and Nash. And it was I'm pretty sure it was in Lakeland, Florida. Marcus is sure it was Salisbury, Maryland at the Nitro. that we were going out there and do some klutzy thing again I think with him against Steve Regal. And that's when, what was it? Bischoff did the, 30 days to start during your contract over or join us during the NWO type thing. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Nash that night said, Marcus, you want to join the NWO? And Marcus was like, yeah. And so we actually sat down and I said, dude, and again, we were really good friends then. I said, dude, this is a chance for you to break free, to do something completely different, because he's already been there for a number of years as this young baby face, this, that, and the other. And he was getting in a bit of a rut, even though he was in a tag team rut. And it was an opportunity for both of us because it gave us kind of a feud together and a chance for him to break out. And that's kind of what happened. A chance to, when he became Buff, the funny thing is he's known more for Buff than anything else he's ever done. Even the Marcus Alexander Bagwell from the past kind of, that got way left. And now everybody knows him as Buff. And if it wasn't for us splitting, that would never happened. So, I mean, that to me, I'm thinking, here's a great way that he got better in business. I got different experiences in business too out of that, and grew in a character and had fun with it, doing a flock. And then my run in ECW, even when I left WCW. So it's hard to say that we run our course, but it was also time for a change for us. It definitely was.
What are your thoughts on the NWO kind of angle as a whole? Obviously, like business wise, things went up at that point too. I know some guys in the past have expressed like frustration if you weren't in the group, kind of how you were booked at that point. What were your thoughts on the NWO kind of as a whole?
Dude, that completely changed the business in a sense, for at least for WCW, and they even made the WWF step up, have to turn their stuff up a notch, DX and everything. So everyone got really, really hardcore on their, we gotta get this one, get that again. And it was a huge spark. Like when they jumped us all in the that parking lot, or the dressing room area, when Hall and Nash was beating everybody up and they were like a third guy. I got laid out, Marcus got laid out, Arn Anderson got laid out, Rey Mysterio got thrown into the side of the trailer and stuff like that. And so that was a big thing that nobody knew what was happening with the NWO, and it was just a huge drama. It just sucked people in, and so it was a great time to be a part of it. I saw it as a good thing because it just gave so much to what was going on. That eyes tuned into us every week. More eyes were being tuned into us, and it just business grew and contracts got better, everything got better for us. And I didn't see anything bad about it. And I gave him Marcus turn. It gave me a great angle with him. The first NWO sold out pay-per-view. Then we did a strap match afterward. And so it was something that made me get better, made Marcus get better. And it made, I was a fan of it because it just made the business better. It made wrestling fun. We were having a good time with it. I saw guys who didn't like it because they were like, they wanted to either be a part of it or they wanted to be somewhere in the mix, and they weren't. There wasn't nothing for them. So there were some guys that were a little, you're going to have that, unfortunately. But there's, it was a blast to me. It was fun.
So after you leave WCW and then get into ECW, how did that all take place? Was that from your previous, friendship with Rob? Because you guys had worked together prior to that in 90, I don't know if it's 93, 94, sometime around then, I think. But
yeah, me and Van Dam started wrestling some shows somewhere my first wrestling match ever was February 6th of 1992. And I was still in college. Just got done playing football, basically, and then graduating from college in April, a few months later, and started wrestling and started getting booked on a few other shows as time went on. That's when I met Van Dam, was in 93. And we just became instant friends. And he was really doing well in ECW at the time. I finished up with WCW, and they wanted to give me, instead of putting me on a contract, they wanted to give me a nightly deal. And I was like, well, how many, what's the money? and how many dates am I guaranteed? And they're like, well, here's an XYZ number for you, but we can't guarantee any dates. I'm like, if you can't guarantee me at least 15 dates a month or 12 dates a month, it ain't worth my time.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, we don't have a number for you. I'm like, well, then I'm out of here. They're like, what? You don't want to be? I'm like, you can't. If this company can't do something, I'm out of here. And it was about that time. ECW had come to Atlanta to work the show at Center Stage. Rob was like, hey, come by.
Mm-hmm.
So I went by there, was talking with him, Tommy Dreamer, and Dreamer was like, so you're done with WCW? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you want to come here? And I said, sure. And it was that easy. The next thing you know, Paul Heyman calls me in his little office and says, hey, going to get you a ticket. I want you in Philly in 2 weeks. We're at the ECW arena. We're going to do this, that, and the other. And the next thing I knew, I started with ECW 2 weeks later. And it was crazy. I was like, boom, boom, right there. And Paul Heyman was the first guy to ever sit me down. He said, this is what we're going to do with you and Rob. We're going to do bing, bang, boom. And then I'm probably going to have you turn on Rob. And he laid out about a 6-month plan. And with a little step here, a little step there, and it fell into place. I was in awe of Paul Heyman, his thinking, his creativity, and just he already had a game plan 2 weeks later for a 6-month period with me. And he was like, dude, you can do that clap thing because that was the American males.
Yeah.
The fans were hate you for it. They're doing everything. And as soon as I started doing that, they hated my guts. And I would hear American male stuff all the time. And the ECW fans, they were pretty rough. Yes. But, I was in an instant feud with Van Dam. I just had fun. Steve Corino was a partner, Jack Victory, Rhino. And it was just one of those things where it just, everything just, boom, fell into place. Kind of like in WCW, I got lucky that things fell into place with Marcus and all. We clicked in the ring, had great chemistry as a tag team. We had great chemistry against each other. And then transitioned to ECW. I've been working with Rob Van Dam for years already beforehand, so we already had an instant chemistry together as a friendship thing, and then as opponents, we already knew each other, could trust each other, and have fun in the ring and do things that are a little different. And it just happened. It was my career has always been that way. It's been something good. It just happens and clicked. So it was kind of a blessing for that way. So ECW was the same thing. It just. It's hard to explain. It just fell in place. And Paul Heyman, again, a lot of credit goes to that guy because he pulled me aside. Nobody else in WCW ever did this, but he pulled me aside. Says, the next 6 months are going to happen this way. And they did. I couldn't believe it. That's how masterful he is.
No, it's pretty crazy that you said that there's some parallels there, like with WCW and like, yes, you and Marcus click, win the tag titles like pretty soon into your guys' run, and then if you're down in ECW, right, you're setting up the angle where you cost Rob the title after like a 2-year reign, and people were so into that run for him as the TV champ.
Yeah.
So then you guys have the big pay-per-view match. Things really did line up for you well, and what better way could you come into a company than with Rob?
I know. I mean, that was he was one of the top guys, and for me to get steam on him because it basically cost him a match to Jerry Lynn of all people. He had a big long feud with Jerry, and Jerry never got the win over him. And because of me turning around and pushing him off the top of the turnbuckle, he hit the floor, boom, throw him in there. And it was one of those deals where like nobody could believe that Jerry finally beat Rob and everything else. I was sitting there going like, I was sitting there gloating, going, yeah, I ripped my shirt and all this stuff and everything. And so it was instant. Again, I got instant heat because being from WCW and being the American male to an ECW crowd, they hated me just from the American male thing. And and then with Rob, it just melted into a big pot of let's go. It was fun.
And it's kind of like, I'm not sure if you're keeping up with like what Matt Cardona is doing now, kind of with when he's going to GCW, which is, it's not ECW, but it's got some of those same vibes, and he's kind of the ex-WWE guy too. So I kind of see there's a little bit of a parallel, but you did that, right, 25 years ago. and I feel like those fans are so similar too. And yeah, they did not like you in ECW. That was some good stuff.
Matt's got that. I talk to him every now and then. He's a good guy. We aren't like best of friends, but we know each other well enough that we talk here and there. And I told him it's pretty much the same thing. Dude, you've latched onto something as where you get major heat, major steam by being the ex-WWE guy, and using that in a sense, and he just has fun with it, and he loves being the heat-seeking missile himself, and just getting so much raw, emotion towards him. And when you can get that, that's when you have that power in a sense that you can draw that emotion from people. It's a gift, and he's developed it, and he's grown into it, and he's having fun. He says, "Man, I love this, man. It's a blast." And he's doing really, really well. So it's like, dude, run with it. He is. And it is kind of a thing that we did, but it's a lot of old things always become new because, you see something from years ago that nobody does. You draw it into it now, you make it part of you, and fans are like, we've never seen that. And it's like, yeah, we have. We just didn't know it yet.
Right, exactly. How much at this point are you keeping up with current wrestling at this point?
I have fun watching some of the stuff. WWE they got some talented guys. I mean, it's incredible. I'm loving what Cody's doing there.
Yep.
I talked to him not too long ago. I was like, dude, it was so fun to watch you when you left there. I said, man, you went to New Japan, you worked indies here, New Japan, and you look like you were just having a blast wrestling and perfecting your stuff. And then when you go back there to WWE, you knew who Cody Rhodes was. You knew how to masterful it. And AEW has run there. And you just created a whole new thing. And he was like, exactly. And he goes, I'm having fun. I'm in control of everything. I understand the business now better. And it's a major production up there. Is the one thing that's different.
Yep.
They are a TV show about wrestling.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean their production is amazing. But I also like watching AEW, even though they bleed a little too much for my liking. They used, when you bled, a lot of blood and stuff, a lot of blood and guts. That bleeding when it was used properly, it meant something. I mean, a blood feud, that type of thing. Now it's like every week somebody's bleeding. It's going, come on, guys, that's a little too much. But their wrestling is they focus more on the wrestling aspect of it. To me, I enjoy that. So if I want to watch a TV show, I'll watch WWE. Sure. If I want to watch the wrestling, I'll watch AEW. Sure. And it's fun. It's like I'm a huge fan of Diana Perazzo in Impact.
Yeah, yep.
She's one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen, and I just enjoy watching her doing her submission things and her chain wrestling. So, I mean, there's little differences along the way that you find some talent and you just go, man, I love what they're doing.
Yeah.
And there's some other talent you go, that's not even cheesy enough to be like the American male. You sit back and go, what are they doing? But it's a blast though, I get entertained by it.
Yeah. And I think at this point we're kind of to a point where there's lots of options again, where it's not just WWE. Like, yeah, you've got AEW, you've got Impact, you've got New Japan. I feel like American fans are more up to date on what's going on in some of those other places as well. So I feel like it's a fun time, and we're starting to see more jumping back and forth, which I feel like as a fan is always fun. And I feel like when you can tell the guys and girls are having fun, like as a fan, that's something that's like that comes across the TV set where it's like, okay, these people are enjoying what they're doing. This makes me more into it for sure.
When you love what you're doing, it shows through. Like I was having fun, like with me and Marcus as a team, but when we started wrestling against each other, that was a lot more fun that we had because we actually created that blockbuster finish the night of the sold out pay-per-view. He was wanting to do something like Rick Rude's Rude Awakening Neckbreaker, and I came up with it. I said, dude, why don't you do this? We can be fighting on, in the ring, go up top, do this. And you can do it off the top rope where it's almost like a flying flip into a rude awakening was what it ends up being, like a neck breaker.
Yeah.
And we actually did it in the hotel room from one bed to the other where you flipped over and caught me with it. And that's kind of how we put it together in the hotel room. And the funny thing is, I didn't remember this, but we were talking the other day. I was like, dude, Disco Inferno actually gave it the Blockbuster name. And I've forgotten that. I was like, that's right, that's where it came from. So I created the move. He gave it the name. Mark perfected it. And it's incredible to watch. 25 years later, guys are using it now. It's still called a Blockbuster. A move that we created is being used. It's still being used now. It's kind of like Dick the Snake creating DDT. Yeah. So to be a part of something like that, a little bit of history, it's just really cool to look at it now. And it's just, like I said, guys having fun with it, guys enjoying it, and it shows to people, whether you're watching it on TV or you're watching it ringside. When guys are having fun out there, it gives a great energy that the fans, they get enveloped into it.
Definitely. Well, Scotty, you've been very generous with your time. I want to make sure I get you out of here at a decent hour. But before we go, where can people find you, and whether you've got conventions coming up or things on Twitter or Pro Wrestling Tees, anything like that, where can people find you and support you?
Was it Twitter or is it X now?
You're right, X. I'm not used to saying it.
I'm not used to it either, because everybody I know still calls it, hey, are you on Twitter? I'm on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Real Scotty Riggs. And that's what I spend most of my time talking about, my Dallas Cowboys or wrestling or something here or there. I got Instagram, which is also Real Scotty Riggs. And I'm not a big picture taker, but I'm trying to do a few more things in there and have a little fun with it. But that's pretty much my social media. And when things are coming up convention-wise, like I said, I just did a big event in New York a couple weeks ago, and just did Winston-Salem for WrestleCade this past weekend. And working on a few more things for the start of next year. So just look at me on my Twitter, my X, Real Scotty Riggs, and you'll get the layout of what we got set up. Like I said, Marcus and myself are trying to get the American males out there a little bit more to have a little fun with that. Get the fans that song to get stuck in their head, and just get out there and redo it, because it's been. I had about a 10 to 12 year layoff in between one convention I did to the one I've just done now. And so it's going to be fun to get back out there and be seen again and have fun with it again. So, just keep up with my Twitter and you'll see where we're going to be at soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Scotty, for taking the time to do this interview. It was a real pleasure to meet you, and I wish you guys all the best.
Matthew, is a blast, brother, and I'm still tripping out. You're half my age. You're 26, right? 26, right?
26. 26.
How old are you?
26. Yep, 26.
26. I mean, I'm 56 years old. So I'm an older cat. I'm 56, but I at least still got the guns going. So
I was gonna mention that earlier. You don't look like you're 56. You're in really good shape, man.
Well, I mean, the crazy thing is, being up here in Atlanta, working out with Marcus. Like I said, we've actually been working out 4 or 5 times a week together, doing some cardio, and just trying to get back in shape to look like the American males again in our 50s, but be in good shape and everything, do these conventions and stuff. And DDPY, I've been doing a few things with Dallas, get my flexibility, get my body in shape again, and it's just been a blast to get healthy again, and in my 50s, and feel good. Just turning back the hands of time. RVD and I keep in contact a lot, and just inspire each other to do some things along the way. And whether it's empty stomach cardio first thing in the morning, just a little thing. I challenge Rob. He's out there in Las Vegas. I'm in Atlanta. We always weird hours texting or phone call. I'm like, dude, try this. And he's like, well, you try this, and you try. We go back and forth, and then we have fun with it. We're older now, so we're trying to figure out how to stay a little bit younger without being the idiot younger. To go out and do stupid stuff, but be the productive younger. And my body's pretty much responded fairly well. I couldn't believe it. So it's it's fun to be around Marcus again. It's great being around DDP and the guys, and just instead of going out and being idiots partying, we're going out and being idiots by working out.
Hey, there you go. That's a good
So at
switch.
56, we're at 56. Yeah, to switch around and put
Yeah.
through there. We're just getting great shape now at our age, and just having fun with it again. It's making life good. So yeah, got the guns back. So I'm not going to complain. Got a few people going, "Dang, Riggs, you're looking good." I shaved my beard off. Holidays came around, and I shaved the beard off, and everyone's going, "Dude, you look 10 years younger by getting rid of that." So yeah, it's been a trip, being about back in Atlanta, and a few things here, a few things there, and hopefully, uh, where are you located at, Matthew?
So I'm Minnesota originally, but now I live in Fargo, North Dakota. So I don't know if you've ever been to Fargo, but that's where I'm at.
We had a couple of, I think we did a night show in Fargo, and we ended up. To give you a quick story about Fargo, we're getting out of there that next morning. There's two flights, one at 7 a.m. and one at 9 a.m., and both of them are oversold. And so they were getting delayed. So we ended up driving from Fargo to Minneapolis to catch a flight to get home. It was like a 2-hour drive to Minneapolis, I think it was, from Fargo. And so we basically went to, I think it was called an Alligator Grill, was the name of the bar, Alligator something, and had a blast eating some food, drinking some beer in Fargo. And so Fargo was a pretty good town. They had a good wrestling town. Had a blast there. But I think I've only been there once, and once was enough.
Once was enough.
Yeah, once was enough. I can guarantee that.
Real rough winters.
You never know where a convention might be in the future along the way. I was trying to think, maybe we can be near you somewhere that can bump into you in real life. But I don't know too many conventions in Fargo.
No, I mean Minneapolis. You're ever in Minneapolis, you let me know, because that's a realistic drive for me.
There you go. We'll keep up with my Twitter. If we do, I'll be throwing Matt. Matt, look at us, Minneapolis brother. So look for it. Look for it. If it happens, I'll definitely let you know. But we're working on a few things to get out there. So it will be. Like I said, I know we're working on a few things before and even at WrestleMania, that long week they have out there to do conventions and stuff. That will be a blast to do. So just be on the lookout for it. And it was definitely a blast talking to you, Matt. Again, you're half my age, and you actually knew some stuff of my past. So I appreciate you kind of digging in there to make our conversation good. It was cool.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's something there's lots of good wrestling now, but I do like a lot of the wrestling from the past. So I already knew a lot of stuff about you, but I had to, research a couple things here and there. But again, honored to have you on, and thank you very much for taking the time.
Man, it was definitely a blast talking to you, dude. Very cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Scotty.